Welcome to the morning update. I'm Erin Ramsey. There's still no confirmation yet on when more Australians will be evacuated from Afghanistan. 102 Aussies and Afghans have been taken out on 2 flights. The first of the evacuees have arrived in Perth this morning. It remains difficult for Westerners to make their way through Kabul. John Kirby from the US State Department says there's no plans to negotiate with the Taliban to increase the security perimeter around the airport.
The mission remains security at the airport and inside the perimeter of the airport, and that's what we're doing. There's no plans to expand beyond that, and I think we leave it at that.
Bars, restaurants and gyms in Sydney are set to reopen to those who've had 2 jabs once the vaccination rate tops 70%. The New South Wales government is considering a range of options, but none have been signed off by Premier Gladys Berejiklian yet. Essential workers looking to cross into Queensland from New South Wales will now have to show that they've had at least 1 COVID jab from tomorrow. The border tightening in a bid to keep the Sydney Delta cluster out. Meantime, Victoria daily COVID case numbers are set for a slight reprieve today after yesterday's spike. At least 20 COVID cases are expected, while a public housing tower in Collingwood has been designated as a Tier 2 exposure site after coronavirus fragments were detected in wastewater. At least 2 people have died. More than 20 are missing in the aftermath of a hurricane in the US state of North Carolina. A state of emergency has been declared with Hurricane Fred unleashing heavy rain and powerful winds. And a new study from the Murdoch Children's Research Institute claims that teenagers who regularly use cannabis are more likely to have premature babies later in life. To sport, tennis star Ash Barty has beat Victoria Azarenka 6-love 6-2 at the Cincinnati Masters. In cricket, David Warner, Steve Smith, Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood and Mitchell Starc could go into this summer's Ashes series without playing any red ball cricket due to quarantine if they make the T20 final. And the Rugby Championship involving Australia, New Zealand and South Africa could be played entirely in Queensland due to COVID, a final decision to be made in the next week. In entertainment news, Nicole Kidman's copping heat after she was allowed to skip quarantine in Hong Kong for a TV shoot. The Aussie actress managed to give the city's 7-day quarantine stint the swerve, despite arriving from Sydney. Jason Statham is set to be a dad again. The action movie star's fiancée, model Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, is pregnant with their second child, making the announcement on Instagram. And Britney Spears is now under investigation. She's accused of battery by one of her longtime housekeepers following an argument over her dogs. That's the latest from the Nova podcast team. We'll see you this afternoon for another episode of The Update.